he is.
Well, we have these.
There's a young guy right there.
These much people.
Young guy anymore.
How are you?
I am blessed.
You look good. You look good.
Thanks. It's good to see you.
You must be living a good life.
God is good.
Well, he is.
He is.
All the time.
All the time.
Okay, we're hot. We're hot.
Right. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Three lesbians.
Maybe with you this morning?
She'll be.
When I got in yesterday, I got a phone call from Carol and Garner. When I was like, come by, a couple of minutes followed by there last night. Tom, yeah. So you see him. Boy, he is sure hung in there.
He has. It's
Good
good.
morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm good. I'm Steve Cooner.
Joyce Brown.
Very nice to meet you, Joyce.
We've met several times. but I
Okay.
know you can't remember as many thousand people.
Well, it's hard.
Oh, absolutely.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Morning time.
Good morning. Well, this morning we are blessed to have with us Steve Cooner from Hope for Haiti's Children. Looking forward to a presentation about, I'm assuming it's going to be an update on Haiti, maybe. I know he's been doing a lot of fundraising and he's been working really hard, I guess the last year or so. Very excited to have you with us this morning, Steve.
Good to be here.
I'll let you take over.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. It's good to be back in Lumberton. I was trying to think last night, the last time I was here, and I just can't
It's been a few years.
recall. I know it's been at least three or four years when I was here last time. So it's always good to get to come, and especially with congregations that support kids like this congregation does and provides financial support. People deserve an update. They need to know what's going on, how you're spending the money, and what the overall political climate situation is like in Haiti right now. Good news to report. In June of this year, more than 600 Kenyan peacekeepers came to Port-au-Prince, specifically in Port-au-Prince, to get this gang activity under control that's been running rampant for quite some time. When, after the earthquake in 2010, the U.S. sent in a UN peacekeeping group and stayed there for over 9 years. And during that 9-year period, everything was calm in Haiti. It's what we would call Haiti normal. There wasn't the rioting, there wasn't the gang activity, the looting, the murders, the kidnappings, all those things that you read about in the news. So, we are very optimistic that with this group that has come in from Kenya, this initial 600 group, supposed to be up to around 2,000 by the end of the year, they'll get this situation under control and get the temperature down. So we're happy about that. Enough to suffice to say, our projects, our building projects, our schools, everything we've been doing has stayed the same. We have not missed a beat, with the exception of the Delma 28 congregation in downtown Port-au-Prince. We had to move out of there temporarily for that school because of, obviously, the gang activity in Port-au-Prince. But overall, kids are back in school, started October 1, and I'll talk more about that here in just a second. But every one of the kids that does come to school every day receives a hot, nutritious meal. So we'll talk more about that as we move along. This little presentation for the Bible class is designed for primarily is to give you a snapshot of what's going on in Haiti. What we're doing with our work, we call it Haiti by the numbers. A little factoid presentation. And I like to go through this and leave enough time at the end, so if you do have some questions, we get those answered too, okay? Or if you have a question during the presentation, feel free to speak up. We're very formal around here this morning, okay? All right. Haiti by the numbers. Number one poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. Your brother here, Kevin Horton, can attest to that. He accompanied me on a trip several years ago to Haiti, and this, what you see right here, is a very, very typical Haiti scene. This is obviously in the City Soleil area of Haiti. What you see is the Pacific Ocean right there. So don't know exactly what's going on in this particular photo, but it is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. 2,401 kids are sponsored in our 10 Christian schools. Many are sponsored right here. The Lumberton congregation sponsors around 10 to 12 kids. So every child, if you do sponsor a child for $36 a month, gets a uniform, their textbooks, transportation, access to the healthcare clinic, and a gift at the end of the year. Education in Haiti is not free, unlike here in the United States. Every kid here in the United States can go to school, and it doesn't cost anything. But here in Haiti, it's different. It costs money. Now, what's amazing with these Haitian parents and these Haitian caretakers, $36 a month is not a lot of money to us. It is to them. And that is the very, very, very last things these parents will do away with in order to keep these kids in school, because they know if they don't have an education, they're going absolutely nowhere. And even with an education, you're in there competing with all these other kids that have gone to school. So I will say this, education in Haiti compared to the United States is head and shoulders above. These kids come out, graduate, they go 13 years. They go an additional year in Haiti, unlike the United States that just goes to 12. These kids speak upwards of 4 languages when they graduate, because the more education you have, the better off you are, the more likely you are going to get the job, whatever the job is. So Haitians put a tremendous amount of emphasis on education. And with the lunch that these kids get every day at school, we have no need for a truant officer in Haiti. These kids are coming to lunch because for many of them, this may be the only meal that they receive all day long. So education is very, very important. The kids are eager to learn. I will say this too, not to burden you down with a lot of statistics, but the national average for 9th graders, Brother Kevin has a good education background, he'll know a little something about this. The national average in Haiti for graduating on the national exam is 80%. The average for our 10 schools is over 90%. So we've got good teachers. That's where it all starts. Kevin, you can attest to that. When you have good teachers, you make good students.
Oh, yeah.
So we're very, very happy about that. 40% of the children regularly attend school. While that number, that's overall in Haiti. That's the overall Haiti number. That's not specific to Hope for Haiti's Children. The Hope for Haiti's Children number is much, much higher. It's probably around 85–90%. And those that miss for legit reasons. Someone's sick, or someone couldn't get to school this morning, or they didn't have a ride, or any number of things. But they're really eager, they're really willing, and want to go to school, and want to learn and do better. 256 children were added to our sponsorship program in 2023. This is a constant filling of the funnel. We'll have kids that graduate out after the 13th grade and move on, and this number is always moving. But we did add 256 last year, which is a sizable number, and it helps. You know, whenever I'm out and about, getting to go to congregations just like this, I talk about it. somebody is interested in sponsoring a child, getting an actual folio on a child, their picture, where they live, how many brothers, sisters, all the good bio stuff on it, we can sure take care of them with it. Get it to you in a short period of time. 32% of Haiti's total population is 0 to 14 years. So this is a real burden. This is a real strain on the economy itself to have this many young kids in a country. 0 to 14, 32%. That's a lot. 1 in 3. This past year, we were able to add 1 new preschool and kindergarten built at the Delma Christian School. Kevin, refresh my memory. When you were with me on the trip, did we go to the Delma School, the church downtown Port-au-Prince?
Yes.
Okay. What you see off to the left is the exterior of the Delma building. This was a small piece of land right here, just big enough to fit this preschool and kindergarten into, that we finally got completed this past year. We were in the bidding on this land with another gentleman who wanted to put a nightclub and a disco on this. We said, we can't have that next door to the church. So we put the clarion call out there, got the funds raised, got the land purchased, had to sit on it for a couple of years before we could start construction. But this is the new preschool and kindergarten built, which is it's a beautiful little structure. 42% of Haiti's population struggles with clean drinking water. If you hear me emphasizing it over and over and over again, there is nothing like clean water. Something we take for granted. So many of these kids and their families' illness comes from poor drinking water. And then if they do get sick, how do they get the treatment? There's 1 doctor for every 10,000 people in Haiti. So there are a lot of kids, a lot of adults that die needlessly or stay very, very sick for a long, long period of time over the simplest of things of drinking water. Now, we're very, very fortunate that all 10 of our schools have an operational well on the premises there. And while I have never tasted the water, I wash my hands underneath it, and it's cold and it's clear, and I almost want to taste it just to see what it's like, but it would probably throw me into a mess like you've never seen before. So they're used to it. They're used to drinking that water. But I tell everybody, if you have a well on your property, it's like having a 7-Eleven next door. It is a big deal. And you might not think about it, but it is a tremendous outreach for the community itself. Folks coming on a day like today, like out at Tomazo, our Tomazo facility, and filling up their water containers for the day. And a lot of them have been led to Christ as a result of the simplest of things, water. So water is a huge, huge issue, a huge, huge problem. We have a very, very good working relationship with Healing Hands International, who comes in and has drilled a lot of wells for us. So that's a wonderful thing to have, is clean drinking water. 3,877 joy boxes were sent out, in 2023. Now what this is, if you're not familiar with it, congregation just as this one decides that they want to fill X number of boxes like you see in the photo right here with items that are shipped to Haiti. Now while that may seem like a daunting task, Beverly Smith, our Joy Box coordinator down in Houston, can provide a congregation with everything that needs to go in that box, how you pack the box, where you send the box after it's been packed, and it really, really, those are getting ready to go into Haiti here towards around the end of November. But basically the process is this. You have a coordinator here at your church who oversees this project. And they say, I encourage everybody, start out small on this. Take 10 boxes, fill them, send them on into Haiti, maybe add more next year. You fill them here, pack them up, send them to Fort Pierce, Florida, where they go through customs. From customs, Missionary Flights International flies them into Haiti, and then our Haiti team will distribute those at Christmas time. Now, 3,877, when you have 3,000 kids in your school program, those numbers don't match, do they? But we have been extremely, extremely blessed just from the outpouring of individuals and congregations that pack these joy boxes, that we're able to do some additional outreach out into the community to those that may not know about Hope for Haiti's Children or know about Christ. We're able to provide them with a joy box as well. So we don't want to turn that spigot off. We want to keep that thing going. But that's, if you're interested in that or have more questions about it, just holler at me. Third largest country in the Caribbean. It's a staggering number to be the poorest in the Western Hemisphere, but Haiti is third largest country in the Caribbean. 15 students are currently enrolled in our professional trainings program. Haiti got it right, or Haiti is getting it right, as compared to education and the process here in the United States. They're not sending them off to XYZ University to get a philosophy degree and come out with $100,000 in debt and then wonder, how are we going to get a job, or where are we going to get a job? We have these kids enrolled in the basic of basic classes like carpentry, plumbing, tile laying, tailor work, bakery operations, and all. Giving these kids something that they can actually use when they come out of high school. So this is just one of the young men in the program, and this has really caught on and has just gone well for these kids to be able to learn something, to be able to not only help themselves, but to help their families on down the road. So kudos to Haiti for figuring this thing out way before we did here in the United States. 1.2 million children in Haiti are in need of health assistance, and this may be the most basic of basic things. The things that sometimes, more often than not, we can treat over the counter here in the States and get it treated before it becomes a bad situation. It's sad to see that so many kids die from the simplest of diseases there in Haiti only because they didn't have the medical assistance available to them. One hospital there in the Port-au-Prince area in Mirabelais, which is a large teaching hospital, folks start lining up there early in the morning wanting to see a doctor. And maybe they'll get in that day and maybe they won't. If they don't, they go home and they come back again the next day and start the process all over again. So again, here in this country, we are very, very blessed with the availability of health care for anybody who gets sick, whether you're in a legal alien or not. Everybody gets good health care here in the United States, but not so in Haiti. 1,800 children were treated at our 2024 annual child care clinic. Traditionally, this has been a clinic, an opportunity for mission teams from churches and organizations and individuals to come in and actually run this medical clinic. You don't have to be a doctor to do this, although we do have 2 or 3 that usually like to go with us on these things. But I've been to several of them, and I don't have a medical background, but getting these kids in there early on, getting their height, their weight recorded, and checking for any problems that they may have before they become paramount. One thing in particular that is a tremendous problem in Haiti is glaucoma, and especially with kids. We've seen glaucoma in children ages 4 and up. Now, why that is with Haitian kids, but it's something that's general to people in the Caribbean, and we don't know why, but it is a fact. But we have a great working relationship with Blessings International out of Oklahoma City that provides us a lot of these meds that we can send in to these kids and their families and get situations like glaucoma treated before it becomes a big problem. You may see that there, but one thing you will not see in Haiti is peanut allergies. Every third kid in the United States has a peanut allergy, but we don't see peanut allergies. But switching the shoe on the other foot, we don't see glaucoma in children here in the States. So it just depends on where you are, I guess. 80% of Haitians living below the poverty line. The average Haitian man, this is just the average, if he has a job, if he's able to get work, makes $2 a day. Now that's what the average Haitian man can look forward to if he can even find the work. So for 80% of them living below the poverty line, that's to be expected when you have a situation just like that. We were able this past year to build one rooftop kitchen built at the Hinch Christian School. The Hinch Christian School and church is about 50 miles from Port-au-Prince, It's our furthest outlet. But we got a kitchen built up there. This is pretty much what it looks like. But it feeds the kids. They're at school every single day. Gives them a hot, nutritious meal. 62 children cared at our 2 orphanages that we have, Tomaso and Pizzo. A lot of these kids are not what you would call true orphans, meaning they don't have a mother or a father or a relative. It's just that mother, father, or relative deemed it better for their child to live at the orphanage rather than to live at home. They couldn't take care of them. They don't have the resources to feed them, to clothe them, to look after them. So we will take these in. And all of these kids that you see are affiliated with members in the local Church of Christ.
Is that number down?
It is down a little bit. Yeah, we graduate them out of there, Kevin. You know, when they get 18, and that's a good question. We don't just take them, put them out on the streets, but at age 18 they have to leave the orphanage, and we will send them to what we call it here in the States, because it translates better, sort of a halfway house for these kids where they live with a Christian family and get acclimated to doing more and more for themselves and working and developing a routine and becoming responsible. But yeah, we were up to 84 at one time.
Yeah, because Kazoo had a capacity of 72.
72.
And Amazo had a capacity of 12, and are working on increasing that
we're
number.
expanding that too.
So,
Yeah, and we still want to do that, but with everything that's going on in Port-au-Prince right now, we're really not taking in too many.
That makes sense.
Hopefully, when that calms down a little bit, we'll be in a little bit better position to do that. But they're clean, they're happy, they're healthy, they're getting fed every day, and it's just it's a real blessing. One of the biggest questions that I get asked when I'm out and about is, can you adopt these kids? Can you adopt the kids in Haiti? And the answer is yes and no. At one time, it was much, much easier to go through the agencies there in Haiti and get a child till the Haitian government found out that the folks coming from the United States had resources, and they would keep this process going for a long, long time. A long, long time. Not caring anything about the kids, but just wanting more money. I say it's a lot like this. You have, let me start out by asking you this question. Do you have bulk trash pickup here in Lumberton, like once a month? Anything that won't fit in the can, you can set it out on the curb and have the city come by and pick it up. I attribute it to something very similar to bulk trash pickup with nothing derogatory towards the kids. But you have this old sofa that you don't want anymore, and you take it out to the curb and set it out there because you don't want it. First person that comes by and tries to load it up in their truck and take it home, you run out there and you immediately want $50 for it. That's pretty much how it is with the kids in Haiti. The government doesn't care about these kids. They're not going to look after them or do anything to help them in any way whatsoever. Just let them run wild till you, as an American, come in and express some interest in wanting to adopt them, and then all of a sudden they become very valuable. So it's hard. It's very, very difficult. And truth be told, just bearing facts, we want them to stay in their own country. They do not, as a rule, assimilate and function very well coming from this environment that they're very familiar with over to this one. We do, because we've been here our whole lives. But flip the coin around to the other side. If we were taken away from here and put in Port-au-Prince, we would have a real hard time functioning as well. So we want to do the best that we can for them. They're in country, provide them a good education, tell them about Christ, and help them in that area. Yes?
You know, you mentioned about their mentality about children, and it makes me think about a Ruby Payne training I went to a long time ago, and her talking about the difference in people of poverty and people of middle class, and the fact that people of poverty often look at their children as possessions, things that, and so it makes sense that they just cast them aside or want something for them in return. And we, from the middle class, struggle to understand that concept because we value them as part of our family, as individuals and people, and yet they see them differently. So it's hard for us to comprehend that mindset, that mentality.
It is. It's very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. Yes, sir.
I mean, we see all these other people coming from them poor countries to this country wanting to come here. Are you saying that these kids don't want to come here when the rest of the hemisphere does?
I think if they were quizzed, if you were to ask them, they want to stay there. Now, they would like a better environment there, one without the gang activity, one with a more stable economy and environment, and one that's safer. But they would prefer to be there. They work better there. Any more questions on that? 967 sponsored children received medical care in 2023 at our healthcare clinic, and this could be for the most simplest of things up to some things that required surgery, some heart defects, things like that. Now, on some of the more difficult, some of the more cases that are out there that are a little harder to work with in country, we have a relationship with the DR, Dominican Republic, that we can go over there and get them medical care and treatment over there. But
Well, that's good.
fortunately, we don't have too much of that. Going back and forth to the DR. The DR and the Haitians don't get along all that well. They don't like each other. As I mentioned, 75% of Haitians live on $2 a day, if you can get it. Now, we are fortunate that a lot of the projects, or most of the projects, all of the projects that we have, like the new schools, the new preschool, and you'll see some other projects in my worship presentation. We use people from the local church to pay them. Now, we'll pay them a little bit more than $2 a day, but it gives them some income, gives them some pride and ownership in what they're doing. And the Haitians are very creative. They can work, and they don't mind working. They're very much used to that. 3,000 children fed in our school lunch program every single day. Now, picture this: we have 3,000 kids in our schools. The meal that we serve is approximately 38 cents per child. So, take that, extrapolate that cost out over the course of the year. That's a lot of money in meals. Now, we're fortunate that a lot of the food that we bring in is donated to us from organizations, but it still takes a tremendous amount of money to pay the staff, to buy some of the food that is not donated and all, but we're keeping up the school lunch program. We had the principals come to us. Kevin, you'll like this. Principals came to us and said, these kids are so hungry, they're falling asleep at their desk. Falling asleep at their desk. They can't concentrate. Now, I've had some hunger pains, but I have never been that hungry in my whole life that I just nearly black out. But that's a common thing with some of these kids and their parents too, that we've talked to, that maybe 2 or 3 days before they eat something, they'll just black out. But immediately, when they get something to eat, they get back to normal. So, lunch program is a huge, huge thing that we're very, very proud about in all 10 of our schools. 153 sponsored children received urgent dental care this past year. Kids just like ours here in the States, they have dental problems, but being able to take care of those problems and situations early on prevents a lot of trouble on down the road. Here's a good one right here. 39 kids were baptized at our Christian Camp Hope this past year, this summer in 2024. This is an updated slide. Camp Hope is a 3-week camp for all 10 of our Christian schools. Now, we can't take all 10 of them at once, but it's for the teenagers in the camps, ages 13 to 18. And they get to come. It's just a camp like here in the States. They play games, have activities, see friends from other schools, make new friends, and have intense Bible competition while they're there. This past summer, we baptized 39. So, I was talking to somebody this past week about this. We are so clouded and so blurred with the things that are going on in this country and have so many distractions that it's amazing when you take those distractions away from people, how receptive they are and how open they are to God's Word. It's like you do your best when you have absolutely nothing. And when you have nothing, you can grow and you can develop, and God can use you at that point. So we're very happy about the success at our Camp Hope. 10 nurses employed at all of our Christian schools. Again, if you can take care of the problem and the situation before it becomes huge, you can head off a lot of problems. And it's not cheap, but it's something that has really paid off dividends for us to have a nurse at these schools. 200 plus teens attended Camp Hope. Now, this is not our facilities. This is a rented facility where they go, because it'd just be hard to accommodate all of those kids at once. But they have a big time. It's always fun for these kids at camp. 82 educators participated in a 3-day professional workshop this year. We didn't have it in Port-au-Prince. We moved it to one of the outlier cities that was a lot safer, and then just had the educators come in for some, I guess what you'd call in-service training. But it really helps getting these people all on the same page, knowing the curriculum and knowing what we want to teach these kids. And finally, we got 5 schools received new stoves this past year. And this is what a typical stove looks like in one of the schools, all propane driven and all. But the ladies that cook these meals at the schools, I'll tell you, some of the I've never had beans and rice taste so good. And if you're fortunate to be there on a special day when there's a little bit of goat meat in there too, that is extra good. So it's a great meal. So anyway, that's my presentation. I've got a little bit of time left for any questions that you might have. I'm happy to answer them.
When we were there, the City Soleil school, church, was in a rough area. And so you mentioned that Delmas was kind of closed, or kind of because of all the things that are going on in Port-au-Prince. What about the City Soleil? I can't imagine they'd be still functioning.
City Select School is still open, and Kevin, I'll tell you this: if I had a gold star to give to somebody, I'd give it to you today for asking that question. City Soleil is the most gang infected area probably in the Caribbean. It is a dangerous. It makes South Oak Cliff in Dallas, it makes the 3rd Ward look like a picnic area down in Houston. Thing is, we have a lot of these gang members that have kids in school. So they have said, leave that school alone. Don't bother it. And they do. They leave it alone.
You know, that's interesting because many years ago I was visiting some other schools. I visited a middle school in South Houston in this Pasadena area. And, I drove down the street to get to the school, and there's chains across the driveways. Not only bars on the windows of the houses, but chains across the driveways. And, and there was graffiti all over the place. The school was immaculate.
Yeah.
And I asked the principal, I said, how is it the school is so pristine and nobody? She said, no one touches this place. She said, this is where their kids go. They don't let anybody mess with this because it's that important to them.
Yep.
Like, so not much different. Wow.
It's the same deal.
Yeah.
Here's a little while back, probably a little over a year ago, one of the gang members kind of ventured out on his own and started causing a little bit of trouble there in the City Soleil area, over there by the school, and the gang leaders took him out, eliminated that crime. So we're not going to have this.
Yeah.
Anybody's going to be acting out, I'm going to give the order to act out. But they go to school every day. It's certainly not a place where you would want to live. Or I've been there 2 times, and it's one of those things. You go in, and I'm ready to get out.
We wouldn't let us go.
We
No, we can't go there.
Well, you got to get permission.
Oh,
You got to get permission from the chieftain to go in, and if he says it's okay to go in, you can go in, and they'll probably give him $20 or $30 to let them come on in. But everybody will leave you alone. But it's a scary place. Yes, sir.
So, I was just kind of researching it. So, the United States used to have some kind of control over the country up till the 30s.
Possibly, yeah. It used to be a destination spot.
Yeah,
I've had a lot of
they
old timers
they
tell
came
me about.
independent.
How about cruise ships going in there and all? It used to be kind of a destination spot, but those days are long gone.
Wait a minute.
Kudos to the work that y'all do, but it looks like the government doesn't even have the resources to rebuild their infrastructure.
They
So
don't.
unless another country comes in,
That's exactly
it's
right.
gonna remain in the same condition.
Well, go ahead, Kevin.
So just to let you know, I mean, there's been a lot of foreign governments that have poured resources into the country. Unfortunately, because of the structure of that country, there's been a lot of corruption in the upper echelons. I think when we were there was like a family that was not necessarily in a government position, but they basically ran the country. They basically were in charge. They could filter through what came into the country and what left the country because of the amount of power that they had, because of the wealth that they had. So
5 families.
5 families.
5 families control the whole operation.
And so, to go back to what you were saying, obviously there's nations all over the world that want to help, but they recognize that their help is not being given to the kids and those that are in poverty and those that have the needs. When Steve mentioned how impoverished this place is, I mean, I can't even describe. I mean, there's, the ditches are full of trash, refuse, all kinds of just along the streets, and yet he's right. The people there so I would say that probably a split, a diverse group. There's that group that's very passionate about their country. I mean, when we went to that school in Gazoo, they were singing the national anthem. They were all lined up in their uniforms. They were, standing there, attention to their flag and singing. And I mean, they're very passionate about their country, and I appreciate that. Going back to what he was talking about at school, how important that is. We were there when one child and his mom. Now they walked like maybe an hour, 1 hour to school. The mom will walk the child at least an hour to school. So that's how important it is. And they were late. And they got called into the principal's office. Not just the child, but the mom as well. And said, you can't be late.
So, I guess the education's just at that level right now, there's not a education past that level?
There is, it's extremely difficult to get in, but that's a good point. We have had 2 kids come through our program that became medical doctors. Now, we've been in operation since 1995, so 2 out of the thousands that have come through there is not very many, but we have made a couple of doctors out of that.
What happens sometimes is they'll leave the country, go to another country, go to college, and then go back. We were on a plane, I can't remember if we were going to Haiti or something, and there was a lady from Chicago. She lived in Chicago for a long time, but she was from Haiti. And her family was having a wedding, and that's a different tradition altogether. She was expected to go back and bring a gift. It wasn't like, would you please come? It was like, you will come. And so she had to take time off from work and buy a plane ticket, go down there, and I mean, it was just one of those things. And so their culture is very, very family oriented, very close, tight knit, and it's unfortunate that there's no leadership. I mean, because there's so many. And when we were there, the church had 2 baptisms when we were there. And so baptism is like out in the middle of nowhere because there's very little water, like he was describing. So we got in this little 4-wheel drive pickup truck. It was like a Tacoma, and there was people in the back, and there was people they were crammed in there as tight as they could get. And they drove over, I don't know, all kinds of stuff. It was not a road. It was through the woods, over all kinds of stuff, and then finally got to a water hole, and the water's probably maybe knee deep as possible. That was probably as deep as it was knee deep, and that's where they baptized those 2 ladies.
Yep.
Incredible.
It is.
And they come from a religious scenario of voodoo. So you think about focused on spiritual things. And I love that preacher who was preaching about God's Spirit and how God's Spirit moves people. And so it was amazing.
It's 80%, it's 80% Christian.
I wouldn't say it's that high.
That's what they had, I was just looking.
I
It's
mean,
Creole,
there is,
so I guess
there is a
that's
good
what
Christian
Creole
influence.
is actually the I guess it's like Creole is more of a race. It's not a religion.
Creole is like a sloppy French.
Yeah.
It's, if you could speak French, you could understand
Yeah.
what they're saying. Like if we went from here to Louisiana and actually hooked up with some actual Cajuns, you'd get the gist of what it is that they're saying, but it is a little bit different.
So they don't